Good day everyone, I am Donijin AVILA and for today I will going to share to you what is the function of female reproductive system. So what is female reproductive system? A female reproductive system is made up of internal and external sex organs that function in reproduction of new offspring. In humans, the female reproductive system is immature at birth and develops to maturity at puberty to be able to produce gametes and to carry the fetus to full term. So, what is the main function of female reproductive system? Its main function is first to produce female sex hormones. Second is to produce and sustain the female sex cells, which is the egg cells. Third, to transport these cells to a site where they may be fertilized by sperm. Fourth, to provide favorable environment for the developing fetus. Fifth, to move the fetus to the outside at the end of the development period. There are two functions of external female reproductive structures. First, to enable sperm to enter the body of the female, and second, to protect the internal organs from infectious organisms outside.
Hi, my name is Charmaine Jain R. TOLON, and so for today I am going to discuss the location of the female reproductive system. First is the vagina. The vagina is about 9 centimeters or 3.5 inches long on average. It is located in front of the rectum and behind the bladder. The upper region of the vagina connects to the cervix of the uterus. Cervix, lowest region of the uterus. It attaches the uterus to the vagina and provides a passage between the vaginal cavity and the uterine cavity. The cervix, only about 4 centimeters or 1.6 inches long, projects about 2 centimeters into the upper vaginal cavity. Uterus, or also called as the womb. The uterus is a hollow, pear-shaped organ located in a woman's lower abdomen, between the bladder and the rectum. Fallopian tubes extends in a superolateral direction past superior and anterior to the ovaries, and open into the peritorical cavity lateral to them. Lastly, the ovaries. The ovaries are two oval-shaped organs that lie to the upper right and left of the uterus. They produce, store, and release eggs into the fallopian tube in the process called ovulation.
Good morning everyone, my name is BARBARONA and I will be the one to report about the structure of a female reproductive system. So, a female's internal reproductive organs are the vagina, uterus, fallopian tubes, and ovaries. The vagina is a muscular, hollow tube that extends from the vaginal opening to the uterus. The female reproductive system also contains two main parts. First part is the uterus. The uterus is the one who hosts the developing fetus, produces vaginal and uterine secretions, and passes the anatomically male sperm through to the fallopian tubes. And the ovaries are the one who produce the anatomically female egg cells. The tissues, glands, and organs involved in producing offspring or children. In women, the reproductive system includes the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, the uterus, the cervix, and the vagina. The internal genitalia are those organs that are within the true pelvis. These include the vagina, uterus, cervix, uterine tubes, oviducts or fallopian tubes, and ovaries. The external genitalia lie outside the true pelvis.
Ovarian follicle development is a complex process that begins with the establishment of what is thought to be a finite pool of primordial follicles and culminates in either the atretic degradation of the follicle or the release of a mature oocyte for fertilization. What does it mean to have a follicle in your ovary? So, it is a small fluid-filled sac in the ovary that contains one immatured egg.
Development of the follicles is stimulated by the production of follicle-stimulating hormone. So, by the pituitary gland, ripening the follicles then result in an increase in estrogen levels as estrogen levels is secreted by follicle cells. The adult ovary is a multifunctional dynamic organ with compartments that vary according to its psychological status. Folliculogenesis is the process describing the growth and development or atresia of follicles through a series of morphological and functional stages from primordial to ovulatory.
Follicle consists of an O site surrounded by a single layer of squamous granulosa cells. A primordial follicle becomes a primary follicle as the granulosa cells become enlarged, and cuboidal. The primary follicle enlarges, and the granulosa cells form more than one layer. The zona pellucida forms around the O site. The structure is called a secondary follicle when fluid-filled vesicles develop among the granulosa cells and a well-developed capsule or theca becomes apparent around granulosa cells. The theca possesses internal and external layers. The structure is called a mature follicle when the fluid-filled vesicles form a single antrum at full maturity. The OC is located in the cumulus mass. During ovulation, the oocyte is released from the follicle along with some surrounding granulosa cells of the cumulus mass called the corona radiata. Following ovulation, the granulosa cells divide rapidly and enlarge to form the yellow corpus. Luteum with the corpus degenerates, it forms the white corpus albicans.
Morning everyone, this is my report, the process of ovulation. Ovulation is the release of an egg from one of the ovaries. It often happens about midway through the menstrual cycle, although the exact timing may vary. In preparation for ovulation, the lining of the uterus or endometrium is thickness. The pituitary gland in the brain stimulates one of the ovaries to release an egg. The wall of ovarian follicle ruptures of the surface of the ovary. The egg is released. Finger-like structures called fimbriae sweep the egg into the neighboring fallopian tube. The egg travels through the fallopian tube, propelled into part by constructions in the fallopian tube walls. Here in the fallopian tube, the egg be fertilized by a sperm. If the egg is fertilized, the egg and sperm unite to form a one-celled entity called a zygote. A zygote that travels down to the fallopian tube towards the uterus. It begins dividing rapidly to form cluster of cells called a blastocyst, which resemble a tiny raspberry. When the blastocyst reaches the uterus, it implants in the lining of the uterus and pregnancy begins. If the egg is not fertilized, it's simply reabsorbed by the body perhaps before it even reaches the uterus. About 2 weeks later, the lining of the uterus shed through the vagina. This is known as a menstruation.
Good day everyone, so my name is April Jane Mata and today I will going to report about the corpus luteum. In this topic, we examine the role of the corpus luteum and how it forms. We also take a look at what happens when corpus luteum cease form and what can be done about them. So, corpus luteum is a yellow hormone secreting body in the female reproductive system. So, this is the female reproductive system and corpus luteum is formed in the ovary at the site of the follicle or sac that has matured and released its ovum or egg in the process known as ovulation. Corpus luteum job is to make our uterus a healthy place for a fetus to grow. It releases a hormone called progesterone that prepares your uterus for pregnancy. Once it's no longer needed to make progesterone, your corpus luteum goes away. Progesterone is essential during early pregnancy because it allows the uterus to grow without having contractions. And also, it supports the growth of the lining of the uterus, and it improves blood flow and oxygen supply. The corpus luteum begins to decrease in size at around 10 weeks of pregnancy. When fertilization or implantation do not occur, the corpus luteum will begin to break down. This causes a decline in estrogen and progesterone levels, leading to the start of another menstrual period. The most noticeable manifestation of low progesterone levels is irregular period and short cycles, but sometimes symptoms like premenstrual spotting may appear. Other symptoms may include mood changes, sleep disturbances, anxiety, and depression. Progesterone affects the regulation of fluid levels in the body. Sometimes cysts can form in a corpus luteum, which can lead to painful symptoms. These cysts can go away on their own, but some may require treatment. The corpus luteum is a major source of sex steroid hormones secreted by the post-ovulatory ovary. The human corpus luteum secretes as much as 40 mg of progesterone per day during the mid-luteal phase of the ovarian cycle. 79 in view of the small size of the corpus luteum, it is the most active steroidogenic tissue in humans. An important aspect of corpus luteum formation is the penetration of the follicle basement membrane by blood vessels.